Hey, Soul, happy birthday. I got something for you.
Oh, you did? Hey, thanks.
It's measuring tape.
It's
It's
a
really useful.
yeah, it's a measuring tape. That's really cool. Thank you.
I got you something for Father's
You
Day, too.
Oh, you did. You got me
Happy
a
Father's Day.
USB cable. Yeah, that's hey, wait. Why'd you get me something for Father's Day? I'm not your dad.
Wait, what? You're not my dad?
Hey, it's Soul. It's June 15, 2018. This is Warcraft Weekly. That's Bob. That's a very defiled title thing. Wow. And today's weekly is brought to you by patrons Mark and Raymond. Mark and Raymond's Ice Cream. Apparently, even technological dystopia can be a flavor. We have yet another awesome and brief round of news to go through this week, and everything I said was sarcastic. But let's get right to it, shall we? The second half of the Before the Storm book was released this week, since the first half was pretty much released for free, and with it, another push forward of the Warcraft story. Reactions have been largely positive, and I share the same feeling. The book has been received well, but the real prize is, again, how the story is moving forward, and I guess more importantly, some of the reactions from the fans. The discussions have been lighthearted, cordial, and extremely productive.
You just have to realize that the Alliance are the good guys, the heroes. The Horde are just a bunch of barbarians.
Alliance are 12-year-olds.
Alliance are jealous psychopaths.
Only 12-year-olds are Alliance.
I miss the Horde players that actually liked playing the bad guys.
Actually, it's the other way around. When 12-year-olds hear this, they always faction change, lol.
True, the Alliance are good guys, and the Horde are played by 12-year-olds who find the monsters cool and get upset whenever they realize they are not the good guys. It's really sad. Horde doesn't starve their own people. Look at Westfall. Alliance made a lot of people starve, so who is the barbarians? The Alliance are maybe they should be wiped out for starving people and thinking they are way above their own people. Alliance has done plenty of awful stuff, so how does it make them being good? I am not 12, you 5-year-old child. I play both sides, and Alliance isn't really good when they starve people being racist, and they have done some other awful stuff too. So if you think Alliance is good, then you're a sick person. Are you stupid? There was no money. They built Stormwind to house everyone. Plus, it was on Nixia's fault that they weren't paid. Shaking my head. Want to talk about starving? Thrall starved his people in the Baron, so did Garrosh built Orgrimmar as a fortress instead of gathering resources. The Horde are a bunch of uncivilized pigs that are cruel and barbaric. By the way, that was just one thread. Loktar, Breezy. Oshkosh Bagosh, Scoreballs. The Battle for Azeroth pre-expansion patch is now on the PTR.
Now the public gets to see the culmination of Blizzard's efforts and our bitching about their efforts.
Yeah, preach it, bro.
I'm not your bro. I'm not even your son.
Get over it. Just like Bob said, now the public is able to access stuff, take a look, and find out all the stuff that's missing. For those of you at home, at work, around the toilet who might feel a little bit overwhelmed by all the information and changes that have happened, don't worry. Next week I have a survival guide that's going to come out, and it should be helpful. This week during E3, Blizzard showed up for a Blizzard kind of story panel. They went over a little bit of how the World of Warcraft story is brought together. I sat there for a while waiting for something cool to be revealed, only to be disappointed. I told myself shortly afterwards, hey, you know what? Fortunately, there is a dev Q&A that's going to come up in just a couple days, and I'm sure that it was going to blow my mind. It didn't blow my mind, oh my god. But there was a dev Q&A, and there were a couple of interesting things that we learned. For one,
blood trolls are pretty black. We're going to kill them. We're going to kill a lot of blood trolls.
How many people do you think are taking that seriously?
Enough. Do I need to outwardly say that it's a joke?
Probably.
It's a joke. But there was one very cool thing that we learned. Cross-realm mythic raiding is going to come much sooner than we might think. Unless we suck at the game. So here's what's going to happen in the first tier of the Battle for Azeroth raid scene season thing. After the first 100 guilds per faction defeat Mythic G'huun in the Uldir raid, Mythic Cross-realm raiding will be unlocked. Ta-da! Those first 100 or so guilds, again per faction, will earn some cool achievement that's going to be exclusive to them, and once that's done, the achievement will no longer be obtainable. Cross-realm teams and a bunch of raiders looking to make oodles of gold selling carries will be more than free to do cross-realm stuff. But what does that mean time-wise? Let's use this most previous raid and Taurus, the Burning Throne, as an example.
Why did you do that?
I don't know, it's the old god thing coming out. It's a fun voice to do.
I don't think you put a lot of effort into that at all.
Irony. Alright, so some facts. November 28th, 2017, and Taurus the Burning Throne was released to the public. December 13th, 2017, Method gets world first, defeating Argus the Unmaker. That's only about a week or so after Mythic was released. The 100th guild on the Horde side to defeat Argus is called Harden the Paint, defeating Argus the Unmaker January 31st, 2018. The 100th Alliance Guild is Union, or Onion, depending on how you want to pronounce it, defeating Argus the Unmaker March 12th, 2018, 4 months after Method did. And as a little bit of context, the last wing of LFR was released on January 16th, just a little bit before Harden the Paint got their first kill. So this tells us a couple of immediate things. One is that there is a really great opportunity for Horde guilds to possibly shift towards Alliance so they can get one of those coveted top 100 spots.
It also means the Alliance sucks.
He said it, not me. Okay? This also means that on average, if it only takes about maybe 2 or so months after World First to unlock Cross-Realm Mythic rating, I think that's pretty darn good. I did a video way back where I talked about this whole Cross-Realm Mythic thing and when they should unlock that sort of stuff, and I did argue that it should be unlocked a little bit sooner, but I didn't think that it would be this soon. I did say that at the earliest that it should be released maybe just a couple weeks after the last wing of LFR comes out. So personally, I think that overall this is a terrific change for Cross-Realm Raiders or otherwise people that want to build up a Mythic team but just have a really hard time because of circumstance. So between this change and the buildup of communities, which is a cross-realm guild-like structure that's coming in the Battle for Azeroth, I expect to see an even greater adoption of Mythic content being tackled. More people having access and otherwise playing the game is always a good thing. The only question to address now is whether or not, with regards to communities in Battle for Azeroth, will we be able to search for the right community, or can we find some of these Mythic cross-realm Mythic teams to possibly sign up with and hang out with, or try to buy a run from? I guess it's too bad that Ian didn't see or answer the question, about communities. It's a real bummer, but it's okay. The community and the commenters, they're quite forgiving. As usual, none of the hard questions were answered. Thank you, fam. I hate listening to Ian's voice.
You know, I really want to be positive and look at the best intentions, but this Q&A was terrible.
I was so irritated because the questions were cherry-picked to give easy answers without giving many of the major issue questions. Ugh. I did a recap of the Q&A just in case you are interested in what the questions were. Most of them weren't all that interesting. I recommend looking at that along with the bullet points that you see on big fan sites like MMO Champion and Wowhead, so you can get a full context and you can bitch appropriately. It's always great to be armed with more information when you're flaming your opponents. There was a little bit of illumination from Ian, who would explain what's going on with class buffs, or the lack thereof, in Biffa. We were under the initial impression that there were a lot coming, but as soon as the alpha started, we were like, oh, where did they go? In case you missed it, I did a video that covers that, and well, people, left comments.
Was thinking about rolling enhancement shaman. I guess I can bench that guy. Not enough utility or cause melee. Take your pick. Sad days ahead.
So basically I can bench my rep because he has nearly zero useful utility. Well fixed, Blizzard.
Pretty dumb. There was a very minor beta build. They included a couple of little splash screens, one little graphic that I'll throw up, but not very much. And thank goodness, I think. Because it means they're almost done, which, depending on who you are, it's either a great or an awful, awful thing because, oh no, my class, it's still all jacked up. The one big thing that's coming out of it, which I'll talk about, which the Q&A also talked about, was the idea, or at least the current implementation, that whenever you're doing Mythic Plus, you can no longer swap out gear. I joked around about this a couple of times, and in fact I tried to make a video that it failed. I couldn't really get it together, where I wanted to talk about my very personal struggles with Mythic Plus and why I don't really do it very much. And part of it was because of the feeling that it is mostly akin to a 20 to 30 minute long raid fight. And I find that a little bit exhausting for me. You can shit on me for that, and you can say, poor you, in a comment below, and for everyone that I see, I'll give it a heart. Does that mean much?
No.
Oh well. But from how it looks, that's how Blizzard is seeing it. I've seen a number of comments that talk about this whole non-gear swapping thing in Mythic Plus and making a parallel with Diablo 3 and how you can't swap out gear whenever you're in a greater rift. Personally, I don't want to dumb it down by trying to compare it with another game system, but instead just kind of see it for what it is. It feels like more and more Mythic Plus is about being stuck in combat the entire time. I mean, right now, the last bastion of hope that we have is that we can still at least eat food. We can still passively actively generate whenever we're in a non-combat state. So I'm trying to understand Blizzard's vision on Mythic Plus, and I admit this is coming from someone who doesn't have that kind of Mythic Plus experience. I am definitely not the kind of advanced player that's going to swap out gear sets between certain pulls or between even certain rooms in order to handle every kind of situation that's available. But it feels like Blizzard doesn't want to force players to have to collect gear to the point where they have to adapt to every kind of situation there is. I think that instead they want to celebrate whatever your very specific specialization is the moment you walk into that instance. It gives a chance to celebrate that whole, oh god, I'm gonna say it, class fantasy. Or I guess it's better for me to say having specialists. So I am going to do some Mythic Plus, and I guess the expectation that I'm going to have is that when I'm making my group, here I am, I'm the tank, and I'm going to do my best to adapt to all the kinds of situations that I'm going to encounter in this particular run. From there, I'm going to curate my team, and I'm going to plan for all these kinds of situations that we are going to encounter ahead of time. So it's not going to be as easy as just having all these expectations from the team that I bring in with me. We're going to have this kind of mini strategy meeting instead, where this person is going to focus on burst AoE, this person is going to focus on single target sustain, and this person is going to spec for a bunch of CC things because we know what we're going to run into. It's a change. It's going to be different, and with difference comes, well, people getting really pissed off about change. It's that whole don't fix it if it ain't broke mentality, but what if it can be improved in a sense? Maybe it will suck balls because we don't have the control that we're used to. Maybe it'll be a relief because we don't have to farm for all these different kinds of gear sets to fit every kind of situation, otherwise we're not viable. But I would love to hear your thoughts in a comment below, and that wraps up the weekly. So I hope that everyone has had a pleasant week this week. Feel free to share your thoughts, your wins, your losses, the bitching, and whether or not you got into beta, or if you even give a shit anymore now that the pre-patch PTR is out. Share all that in a comment below. That was kind of a mouthful, yeah. So I realized, I just looked, that this is going to be the 99th episode of Warcraft Weekly. I've been doing this crappy show, with you as the co-star, by the way, so don't say anything, for almost 2 years now. Holy crap. I'm not sure if I'm going to do anything special. I mean, it's already like literally a week out, so I don't know if I'll be able to get anyone to show up or make it special in any sort of way, but I'll see what I can do. Maybe I can make it a little fun. But otherwise, now that we're seeing the battle for Azeroth very close on the horizon and pretty much all the major content is in, like I've been trying to do for the past couple weeks, I'm going to try to do a big recap of like all the stuff that we can expect. You can expect a survival guide. You can expect maybe like a quick overview of like maybe some models and mounts and other such things. Or if you're not interested in that sort of stuff and you'd rather see me work on different things instead, leave your input in a comment below, because I do read pretty much everything, unfortunately, and I do appreciate your input. Otherwise, I think that wraps it up. I think this is a shorter one than before. We'll see what happens when I'm finishing the editing. So stay tuned next week. I have way too much stuff planned for the next couple weeks, and I have no idea how I'm going to push it all together. So please, if you enjoyed yourself today, like this video, share it with the other peoples on the internet, subscribe here and on Twitch if you haven't done so already, and do something about that bell thing, YouTube. God, mess with that bell and make sure that that thing works for you, okay? Consider becoming a patron. All it takes is $1 to support the channel. I would super appreciate it. I will love you forever, or until you pull back your pledge, whichever comes first. But the positive energy, the donations, the kind thoughts, and everything that you give to me, all of these things help to support the channel so I can give you more of this and all things Warcraft. We will see you next week. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.